Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm very excited to bring you a review for the new Transformers War for Cybertron Generation Selects Deep Cover. Deep Cover, for those that are uninitiated, is a direct recolor of the Siege Sideswipe toy made in homage to an eHobby exclusive character who was made in homage to a Diaclone character. So he's based off of one of the original Diaclone variants of the toy that would become Sideswipe. In this case, a mostly black vehicle that turned into a robot that used some blue accents. And he's one of those really neat, obscure characters that a lot of people weren't sure they'd ever produce again besides, the initial one. He's also a really interesting case because as this toy is releasing, they're releasing another version of Deep Cover in the Netflix toy line, who for unknown reasons utilizes a swapped color scheme of being a blue car with black accents. Anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at the toy's packaging, we'll open it up, we'll see everything inside, we'll look at the instructions, and then we'll see Deep Cover himself in both his vehicle and robot modes. We'll be doing quite a few group shots and comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. Deep Cover, as expected, comes in your standard Select style packaging, which is kind of a plain cardboard mailer box with a little label on the front. It's got his name, a little serial number there. On top, you get your standard print for a War for Cybertron based Selects toy, which this may be the last of its kind. I don't know. Well, I guess we got a Transmutate and G2 Ramjet, so I don't know. We're getting toward the end where pretty soon you're going to see Selects that probably aren't branded this anymore, so that's going to be interesting. Get the logo here on the back, rest of the image, some boring text, and that's about it. Okay, now that we have the label cut, let's open this guy up. Just get your standard inner lining here for the War for Cybertron based toys. And look at this. This is different. He is the first Selects toy to not come with a plastic tray in his box, instead opting for a cardboard insert like the modern Netflix and Kingdom toys are doing. So they're really making good on their promise to cut down on plastic waste. So you can see Deep Cover himself, very interesting color scheme. He's one of the few redecos of Sideswipe that doesn't use black for like the hands and helmet and all that. So pretty cool. I'll get a better look at him in a sec. Also, look, it comes with all the accessories. Got the rifle and the little missile launcher. So he's like Tiger Track there. Which means a better value than most of the Sideswipe redecos. And then we just get this, his instruction book. And they show him wielding everything, which is pretty cool. I like that they have like proper renders for him. You can see his decals, little police badge symbol on the front. So it's not just like reused Sideswipe renders or something. This shows you how to utilize his weapons, how to attach everything, do all that fun stuff. And then how to transform him, which I'm sure most of you are very familiar with by now, right? Not too much you can do different with his transformation. And then just a recommended way with how to attach his weapons. Alright, so here is Deep Cover's vehicle mode. And you can see it's very tampoed up. You get the Autobot symbol, which is kind of a given. You have tampos on the headlights, which is interesting. Or at least, I think they're tampos. Maybe they're paint strips, I'm not sure. You get the nice little sheriff's badge here, or police badge. You get two on the sides. You got your painted hubcap still, so they haven't dropped the ball on that yet. And then, look at that, painted taillights. They're painted. And I'm pretty sure this guy, along with the other Deep Cover, are the only versions of this mold that actually have painted taillights. So it took them almost 2 years now, or actually I think over 2 years, but there we go, we finally get them. It's also got some nice paintwork here on the abs. It's got the painted little rectangles and the vents on the shins. So he is not lacking. They really, really maxed out the paint budget on this guy. And I really like it. He looks very premium. Oh yeah, we can't forget to mention the paint here, right? You got a fully painted rifle. You got a white painted little missile here. And then the barrel of his missile launcher is actually painted silver, which I think that's a first too. Or actually, you know what? The G2 Sideswipe had most of this painted, so a little different. But this is the first time they've had just a plain black one with a painted barrel anyway. As far as rolling, no issues there. He still rolls like a dream. So, it's weird. When you back it up, this wheel kind of catches. But going forward, it rolls fine. It's odd. So yeah, overall, I think the vehicle mode looks pretty fantastic. And here's his concurrently running Netflix version, who you can see is just a total inversion of his color scheme. Right? Anywhere that's blue is now black, and vice versa. So that's pretty interesting. They also gave this guy gray instead of white, so not a exact one-for-one color swap. And they're each just doing their own thing there. This guy definitely looks like more of a sports car, albeit one that's pretty heavily beat up in the front. And this looks like, you know, something that was requisitioned to be a police cruiser. So they're two very different takes on the vehicle, but they both look very nice in their own regard. Oh, also, like I said, painted taillights. These guys are the only two that bothered to have painted taillights. All right, here's a look at all the major variations of the Sideswipe mold. So I'm not including, like, slight Netflix recolors or anything like that. So you have the progenitor here, Sideswipe, the very first one. You have the Combat Clone Sideswipe, or G2 Sideswipe from Siege. Generation Selects Tiger Track, and then Siege Red Alert. So these are all the major variations. And then, of course, there's the Netflix Sideswipe, Netflix Red Alert, which are really the same as these two, just a little more battle damaged. But overall, I think these look really cool together. This looks like something you'd see in like some rich person's fancy car garage, you know, just a bunch of Lambos hanging around. So I like this. I like the variety, right? At this point, you get all three primary colors. You get white, and then you get two different spins on black. You know, black with blue highlights, black with red highlights. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And I know a lot of people are getting sick to death of the Sideswipe repaints, and I mean, I don't blame you, right? It is getting pretty samey at this point. But it seems the Lambo mold is just the Autobot version of Seekers now, because they're gonna get all their mileage they can out of them. Okay, now we get Deep Cover's robot mode, and you can see it's very strikingly different in the fact that he does have the blue head, the blue hands, and all that. And I also realized something while transforming him. While he does have really nice, you know, paint details on the headlights, all the tampos, all that, he's actually a lot less painted than most of the Sideswipe toys, because areas that normally would have paint on them, like the car hood and the backs of legs and all that, they're just black plastic. So that's got me wondering, maybe that's why he includes more accessories than the others. Because it looks like they actually overall used a lot less paint on this guy than they normally do. Now to show you all an example, here again is the Netflix deep cover. And at first, you know, it seems like a pretty simple color inversion with the plastics. But his whole hood section is actually gray plastic painted blue. His shoulders are gray plastic painted blue. His legs are gray plastic, all painted blue. These are painted blue. So he's actually got a lot more paint. This is painted blue. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what determines which of these guys gets more accessories than the others. Because the only other version of this mold that includes both the whole missile launcher assembly and the rifle is the Selects Tiger Track, and he is also one of the plainest looking members of this mold family. He doesn't skimp on paint. In fact, he may actually have a bit more overall than this guy, because he does have like the painted hood and all that. But he also has much less in the way of added paint details like battle damage and, you know, headlights and taillights, all that stuff. So maybe that's the secret. Maybe you gotta accept a trade of either a nice paint job or two accessories. Maybe that's the sweet spot. Anyway, as far as tolerances go, this guy is still just feeling great everywhere. Everything is nice and tight where it should be. You know, there's no floppiness, there's nothing weird going on. Despite this being, I believe, the 8th use of this mold now. I guess 7th or 8th, depending on which one of these you think came out first. So he's pretty far in, he's right up there with like Siege Seeker territory. And still, the tolerances are fantastic. In fact, the only copy I have that has anything weird going on with the tolerances are this Netflix one. And I won't get too into it because he's got his own review. But his little shin panels here, I think it's this one specifically, it plugs in very tightly to his leg. So he takes a lot of force to pull that out. I don't know why. Maybe there's some excess paint inside the little hole or something, but that's a pretty minor issue. I also want to point out that a lot of people have likened the color inversions between these two to the same color inversion you see with G1 and G2 Sideswipe. Now that could be a motivation for why they did what they did, made this version mostly blue. But a lot of people have also pointed out that the Netflix guy actually looks a lot like the colors used on the Spy Changer version of Sideswipe that was released in late G2. So yeah, I can see that too. So I'm not really sure what the thinking was on that. It could have purely just been to make these two distinct enough from each other since they knew they'd be releasing at about the same time, and you don't want two toys that look, almost exactly alike on shelves at the same time. So that could be it. And lastly, we get our big group shot with all the different Sideswipe guys. Again, we got regular Sideswipe, Combat Cloner G2, Tiger Track, again, only one with double the accessories besides our new guy, and of course, Red Alert. So, just like with the car modes, these guys just make for a nice little group display together. Honestly, they look like a bunch of generic army builders, which is not the worst thing. We've seen with the third wave of Netflix toys that they're not afraid of releasing generic army builders. And if the sweep rumor turns out to be true, it seems even Studio Series 86 will be delving into that territory. And I think it's fine, right? It gives people options. You can buy some of these, one each of these, a bunch of each of these, just to fill out your ranks. I mean, they're cheap enough, right? They're deluxes, so they're not the most expensive thing to army build. And again, I think there's enough color variety between these guys. Even guys that repeat colors tend to flip the colors around or move them in significant ways. So I'm honestly okay with this, right? You can choose to add them to your collection. You can just pick a few, whatever you want to do. And then, of course, our deep cover himself, despite the fact that he does use significantly less paint overall than most of his mold mates, he manages to pull it off in a very good way because the plastic colors that are used are broken up very nicely. They give him more of a shiny appearance rather than the matte appearance you see on most of these, like Sideswipe, Tiger Track, other deep cover. And his colors also they really invoke that 80s robot feel, right? The very Diaclone flavor that this guy is meant to invoke, seeing as he is based directly off of a Diaclone figure. So I like him. I think he's one of the coolest releases of this mold family so far. It especially doesn't hurt that he gets more accessories than most. I really hate that his Netflix counterpart got skimped on the weapons there. That's really a shame. I had thought with releases like Tiger Track we'd move past that and we were just going to go with all the accessories from now on, but I guess not. They're going to balance that paint budget against that plastic budget, it seems, which, oh well. It's disappointing, but not surprising. I do at least hope that when the almost inevitable Earth Mode, Sideswipe, and Red Alert finally come out, that they get a full run of accessories. I really hope so. I want to see Sideswipe with a rifle. I want to see Red Alert with the shoulder cannon. I think they can swing it. If they don't, they're just really being stingy at that point. Getting back on track, though, as far as I know, this guy's still in stock at Pulse and probably other online retailers. I know Big Bad Toy Store just got theirs in, literally the same day Pulse did. And he's about $20 in most places that you're going to find him. And I think he's very much worth picking up. If you're not completely tired of the Sideswipe mold by now, he's a really good use of that mold. Brings us a really, really cool, very obscure character. Even more obscure than Tiger Track, right? Because Tiger Track, he at least got a masterpiece toy. This guy hasn't been done since the old, e-hobby recolor of the G1 Sideswipe. So I think he's totally worth adding to your collection. But I can also understand that if you're just all Sideswiped out, you don't want him. As usual, though, that is just my opinion on Deep Cover. Now I want to know what you all think in the comment section. Do you plan on picking this guy up? Do you not plan on it? Or do you already have him in hand? Is there anything you would have liked to see done differently on this toy? Any and all feedback is always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. And thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new Transformers Generation Selects Deep Cover. And with all that said, I will see you next time.